All right, hey, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Racha HaKodash. Double honors to my apostles, a great millstone, and peace and salutation. To the hopeful members of the elect, the Bacharim of the house of David that has been preordained, predestined to get delivered in these last end times and to be the ruling governing body of the nation of Yashala. So I want to get into a lesson, all right, on Esau setting up his traps and his snares. Okay, I want to go into the Patriot Act. We'll dive into that and how that is an invasion of your privacy regarding the U.S. citizens. Okay, so I'm going to play this video by Myron Gaines. All right, I'd like to watch him for political news matters, and he brought up a good point. He went into the Patriot Act, so without further ado, let's play this.
Of neutrality, if I'm not mistaken. Let's test my history.
Actually, let's go back.
Bro. To beef would imply that we're equal, and we're not. Everyone needs to read George Washington's farewell address again for a reminder on foreign nations. Yes, George Washington did not want foreign. He signed the proclamation of neutrality, if I'm not mistaken. Let's test my history knowledge. Proclamation of neutrality. Damn, I'm fucking good, baby. Let's go. Yeah, the proclamation. Mistaken. Let's test my. Let's test. I'll tell you this. Maybe she got. Do me a favor, bro. Like. Information. We.
Slocky, bear me 1 second while I get this straight. Okay, so I found the video, I found the part in the video where he goes into it. This Michael Churchoff guy, okay, the one who was behind the whole Patriot Act. All right, so we're gonna play this.
If anyone else had been caught in a situation like this from any other country, they would be in Guantanamo Bay right fucking now. But guess what? Since they were Israeli, they were released. And then when you do pinpoint who ran the Department of Justice back then in INS, this fucking guy. Oh, yeah, and just so you guys know, his mom worked for the fucking Mossad back in the day.
Right.
It's like, you can't make this shit up. You can't make this shit up, bro. But then they'll sit there and call you a conspiracy theorist when they're unaware idiots and ignorant to the facts. So none of this is conspiracy theory. I'm showing you guys fucking Wikipedia that proves this shit. I'm showing you guys mainstream media that proves this shit. This ain't a conspiracy theory anymore. At all. Simply put, it's this. Okay? It's simply this. When the attack happened, Israeli intelligence assets were there to document the event and celebrating the attack. They had foreknowledge that it was going to happen. They were arrested by the FBI. 2 of them were identified as intelligence assets, and with question, they failed the polygraph test. So, at bare minimum, they had foreknowledge of what was going to happen, and they didn't go to the authorities beforehand. Then on top of that, they worked for a movie company that was a front that was paid for by the Mossad. Urban Movie System was funded by the Israeli intelligence. And then their owner, after a search warrant was conducted, fled to Israel. There ain't no conspiracy theories there. That's 100% fact. It's in the FBI reports. But then people like Andrew Schultz and Michaela want to go ahead and write it off as a conspiracy theory. And then Andrew Schultz has the nerve to say they're going to thwart 9/11s. Motherfucker, they facilitated 9/11.
Here it goes. Watch. Listen.
Give me ones in the chat if you guys didn't know that, between the Chertoff stuff and everything else. Because Because a lot of people don't make that link with Chertoff, that this was the head fucking guy. And this guy ended up writing the Patriot Act after 9/11.
Right.
Which took away a lot of our rights and liberties and allowed the U.S. government to spy on U.S. citizens.
Right.
And the invasive surveillance state we have now. Give me ones if you guys learned something.
Okay, let's see. Speed it up.
That's real fast. We got here.
Okay, so, right, so let's take it back a little bit. Okay. Now, 9/11, we should all know that that was an inside job. Okay, if you don't know, that was an inside job by the government. Okay, your own U.S. government orchestrated 9/11. You can even watch the interview with Alex Jones having an interview or interviewing what's that brother's name? Dang, it's slipping my mind. Let me see if I can look it up. Man, I always bring it out too. But he was having an interview with the individual who he had dinner with one of the Rockefellers, and he broke it all down of how a false flag attack will happen, and that was 9/11. And then Aaron Russo, that's his name. Alex Jones was interviewing Aaron Russo, and Aaron Russo was again. He sat down with one of the elites, okay, the Rockefellers, and he was going into how they're going to orchestrate a false flag attack, and they'll use that as an excuse to go into certain regions in the so-called Middle East, all right, which that's a made-up term, as Elder Malcolm brings up, all right, and spread their democracy, take over certain regions, and claim the resources, okay? Because the Gaza Strip, the U.S. they want to take that, all right. Trump was even saying that they want to have that area, all right, and turn it into a tourist spot, make money, okay. But that was the sole reason to go into, that was the sole reason for 9/11, to go into the Middle East, spread the democracy, take over certain resources, okay. And the Patriot Act, which was signed after 9/11, that was programmed to be invasive to your privacy. Okay. So we're going to read this. Michael Chertoff was the Assistant Attorney General at the time and played a major role in drafting the legislation. However, it was President George W. Bush who officially signed the Patriot Act into law on October 26, 2001. Later, Chertoff became the Secretary of Homeland Security 2005 to 2009. So he started off as an Assistant Attorney General, okay? Then he became Secretary of the Homeland Security under Bush and continued to influence counter-terrorism policies. But they're the ones that created this whole war on terrorism. And it's the perfect propaganda to push, okay? This disguise that they created the war on terrorism, because anyone could be a terrorist, all right? There's no concrete enemy, all right? So they orchestrated this whole thing, and they went over there and invaded a people who had no clue, who were fighting for their own country, okay? And a lot of these other, so-called terrorist groups were funded by the CIA, okay? So it says, The Patriot Act, short for Uniting and Strengthening America by Providing Appropriate Tools Required to Intercept and Obstruct Terrorism Act of 2001, was a law enacted on October 26, 2001, in response to the September 11th terrorist attack. It significantly expanded the U.S. government's surveillance and investigate powers to combat terrorism. Key provisions of the Patriot Act: expanded surveillance powers allow the government to conduct wire, wiretaps, monitor emails, and track internet activity more easily. Enable roving wiretaps, allowing surveillance of a suspect across multiple devices. Access to business and personal records gave law enforcement the ability to access financial, medical, and communication records without notifying the individual through national security letters. That's very these are wicked acts right here. Okay, totally against your rights as a so-called U.S. citizen and as just a human being. Okay, increased border security and immigration controls made it easier to detain and deport non-citizens suspected of terrorism-related activities. All right, I'm not gonna go into the whole thing. Okay, but I asked, on the chat GPT, so it's basically spying on U.S. citizens. It says, yeah, in a lot of ways, the Patriot Act massively expanded the government's ability to spy on U.S. citizens, often without their knowledge. The biggest concerns came from provisions that allowed mass surveillance. The NSA collected Americans' phone records in bulk, tracking who they called, when, and for how long. I want to look that up. The NSA. Okay. Hopefully it can come. Okay, National Security Agency. Okay, a U.S. intelligence agency is responsible for cryptology, including signals intelligence and cybersecurity to protect national security and gain advantages for the nation and its allies. Okay, so the NSA, National Security Agency, says key functions and responsibilities: signals intelligence. NSA collects and analyzes foreign signals intelligence, providing policymakers and military forces with critical information about adversaries. Cybersecurity: the agency plays a vital role in protecting U.S. national security systems, particularly within the defense and industrial base, and enhancing the security of U.S. weaponry. Cryptology: NSA is at the forefront of U.S. government cryptology, encompassing both signals intelligence and cybersecurity. Computer network operations: NSA enables computer network operations to gain a decisive advantage for the nation and its allies. Research and development: NSA conducts leading edge research to advance U.S. intelligence and national security capabilities. So let's continue. It says warrantless data collection through national security letters. The FBI demand personal records, banking, emails, internet activity without a court order, sneak and peek searches. Federal agents could secretly enter a home or business and search and delay notifying the owner. Okay, it says at first the government justified it as necessary to prevent terrorism, but leaks from people like Edward Snowden in 2013 exposed just how far the surveillance went, even on regular Americans with no ties to terrorism. You see, and that's why Edward Snowden, he fled to Russia. They, you know, they were after him. The USA Freedom Act rolled back some of these powers. Yeah, right. but the government still has plenty of ways to monitor people. Okay, so it was an invasion to it was an it was created to invade your privacy, but you saw how Esau did it in such a cunning, destructive way by orchestrating 9/11. You know, killing and destroying people's lives on that day in New York City in Times Square. Okay, and then using that as an excuse to now go invade certain regions in the Middle East and blame it on them that they did 9/11 when they had no parts of it. Okay, and your own government is now coming out with this. The cat is out the bag. They're it's been released that your own government planned and orchestrated 9/11, and we have, like I said, interviews from like Alex Jones and Aaron Russo. Okay, he talked about this, him having dinner with one of the Rockefellers, and he said he announced it that yes, they're gonna have a false flag attack, and then what happened years later? It happened. Okay, it came in fruition. Okay, so I'm gonna get a scripture. Salakia for rambling for so much, but I had to get that out the way. This is Isaiah in the GNT 32 verse 7. A stupid person is evil and does evil things. He plots to ruin the poor with lies and to keep them from getting their rights. You see, Esau Edom will do cunning and destructive acts, evil things, all right, to further his agenda. And we're going to see more of this. False flag attacks for whatever agenda Esau has. Ultimately, the chip, of course, his new world order. Okay. This whole thing in Israel and the Gaza, all right, the Gaza Strip, they set that whole thing up. All right, all that was orchestrated. It even came out how Israel knew that, those so-called terrorists are from Gaza, that they were aware of the attacks that was gonna come prior to October 7th. All right, they were aware of that. Okay. No, they were aware of the attacks that was gonna come. All right, that happened on October 7th. They were aware prior to that. All right, and they did nothing. You see, so all that was orchestrated, man. All that. All right, but this is the level that Esau will go to. He'll go up and beyond. All right, he'll go and push. He'll go push wicked and destructive plans to further his agenda. All right, he'll go up and beyond. You see, he'll go that extent. All right. So hey, I just want to make this video. All right, Lord willing, edifying. All right, on to the next one. Shalom.